And then there is a refrain, reminder, that if someone from a Kshatriya family, 14.2, if anyone from a Kshatriya family goes from home into homelessness, and after becoming a monk and practicing the Dhamma Vinaya, and he keeps to all the 10 precepts, then he will definitely follow the right path and attain awakening. So it doesn't matter whether he's born in a Brahmin family, Vaishya family, Shudra family. So anyone can purify himself. 15.1, Buddha uses another parable. 15.1, what do you think, Brahmin? Is it only a Brahmin who, taking a shell filled with bath powder, having gone to the river, can wash himself free of dust and dirt, and not like a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra? Right? You say, anyone can take soap powder, go to the river, wash himself, clean. The soap powder works on anyone, doesn't matter what class you are. So same thing also. If you practice the Dharma, doesn't matter what class you are, you become pure. So we are not born pure. So everything is repeated here. Different class, if they keep to the precepts, they're good. If they break the precepts, then they're bad. 16.1. What do you think, Brahmin? Here ahead, anointed Kshatriya Raja, a king, were to assemble 100 persons of various births, saying, "Come, sirs, those here who are born into a Kshatriya family, a Brahmin family, a royal family, bring along an upper stick of teak, or sal, or salala, or sandalwood, or patmaka." These are different kinds of wood. And start a fire, produce some heat. Right? So you say you get these people from noble class, they bring 2 sticks to make fire. That's how they start fire, those things. And these are good sticks, good wood. Then he also says, and come to sirs, those who are born in outcast family or trapper family, weaker worker family, cutthroat family, cutthroat those who make cuts, scavenger family, bring along an upper stick from a dog's trough or pig's trough or refuse being or castor oil wood, and start a fire, produce some heat. So here the Buddha said, okay, so then the king said, okay, all these poor people, the underclass, these are different kinds of outcasts. Bring some poor wood, not the good wood, wood which are from piece of place where a dog is, a pig fits, bring a kind of wood, and then make fire. This poor wood also produces fire. See? Now the Buddha asks, the fire that's produced by those higher class using good wood, and the fire produced by those outcasts using poor wood, it gives the same heat, doesn't it? It gives the same flame, doesn't it? So here again, this example is very useful in showing the Buddha is very serious about the nature of the Dharma, is open to all. Anyone who practices, no matter high class, low class, no class, ugly, beautiful, rich, you practice this Dharma, you will get the same results. So the ideas are very clear, the parables are very clear. Right? And everything repeats itself. Again, the Buddha said, anyone who keeps the precepts, they'll be good. Anyone, no matter what class, breaks the precepts, they are bad. So, finally, Isukari is convinced. Isukari is very happy. 17.5. When this was said, the Brahmin Isukari said to the Blessed One, "Excellent Master Gautama, excellent Master Gautama. Just as if one were to place upright what had been overturned, or were to reveal what was hidden, or were to show the way to one who was lost, or were to hold up a lamp in the dark so that those with eyes could see forms. In the same way, in numerous ways, the Dharma been made clear by the Master Gautama. We go to the Blessed One for refuge, to the Dharma and to the community of monks. May the Master Gautama remember us as lay followers who have gone for refuge from this day forth for life." So it's convinced. So here you are. Now this sutta is not an easy sutta, but it's very important for us to know this sutta when we are talking about the nature of Buddhism. That there is no class system. Right? So this is where when we teach Dharma to people, we've got to remember this. Welcome everybody, teach Dharma to everybody. It's not for different classes. Why this is important? Because as the religion becomes more famous, more rich, you find people also become treated differently. They've been treated differently. So you can have problems later on. So suttas like this remind us of how important it is to treat people as individuals, not because of their class or looks or wealth. And the Dharma needs to be practiced by all the same. Okay, so I finished with this. Now we can have discussion time. Anything you want to ask? Anything in Australia?
This, I remember I read somewhere, this Dr. Ambedkar, the
Yes.
untouchable in India.
Yeah.
And one time they embraced, they embraced Buddhism
Correct. Yeah.
to get out of the caste system.
Yes. Even today, they're still using this idea to free themselves from the racist politics. But it's not easy for them because now the Hindus are retaliating. They are introducing, some of them are introducing this idea of Hindutva. Basically, the idea is to be Indian is to be Hindu, and Buddhism is part of Hinduism. So this is an old idea, so they have to defend this stuff. In fact, they are very, some of them now are very outspoken, some of these caste followers. You see, I like to use the word Dharma in my translation because to me Dharma is an English word, Nirvana, Dharma, and so on, rather than Dhamma, MM. To them, because of their political situation, they decide not to use any Sanskrit words. Because to them, the Sanskrit will remind them of the Brahmins. So they're quite unhappy when they saw the word Dharma in my translation. So they wrote to me, they say, only the Brahmins use Dharma. So in a sense, they're right, because in India, it's not an easy thing for them, So, but I think we've got to adjust our minds and not to define ourselves by those who oppress us. You can say, I still use Dharma, but to me, Dharma refers to the Buddha's teaching, not to the codes of the Brahmin. For example, when we say the word good, just because other religions use the word good, we don't use the word good, because it's a neutral term. Some words are not so neutral. In the West, some of the more serious Buddhist scholars, they do not want to use the word evil. So they use the word bad. So this one, I try to follow them because it's English. So instead of evil, we use the word bad. Because to them, the word evil doesn't exist in the Buddhist context. Because evil, you have a God idea. See? Whatever evil you do is against God. So what they're trying to is they do not want that association. So that's very interesting, right? But we can't really 100% avoid using that word anyway. So in other words, we don't have to change the word, we change our attitude towards the word. We say, well, to me, it means this. And when we write, we also define that carefully. So words are a bit tricky, but if you use that wisely, I think we shouldn't be a problem. Any other question?
So the case, JB, for the Dhamma talk.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that one is rather sad. It's all about money in the end. Because there's this travel group. I don't have all the details, so correct me if I'm wrong. The leader is a Tibetan monk, I heard. Is that correct? Yeah? So they did their prayer there, and there's some picture on the wall. I mean, definitely, and I was from Malaysia before, we never do this, I mean, we just don't think of doing it because it's not right thing to do anyway. In fact, that place is not a Buddhist place, it's a Muslim prayer room. It is sacred to them. I mean, it's just like someone coming to our shrine and doing their own prayer. We wouldn't like it, you see. So it's rather strange that the tour leader doesn't know that it is a religious place. Maybe it's a foreigner. And the second problem is, bigger problem is the owner allows it. I mean, he's the one who should be saying, no, we can't, right? So, of course, there are probably other mitigating circumstances. Maybe he rarely uses the room or what, But once you To them, once they something like consecrate a place as a prayer room, it's sacred. So now they have all kinds of other things they need to do. You need to demolish it and so on. So these are ritual things now. So you can comment from different points now. You begin to see. Actually, it's a lose-lose situation here. It just should not have happened in the first place. So it shows that those Buddhists who went there did not know what they're doing, and then the Muslims also kind of reacting. So both sides, all the negative aspects are seen, unfortunately. So mutual respect for religion is very important here. And I'm sure there are other places we can use instead of that rule. Definitely, it could have been avoided. But in Malaysia, I lived there for many years. Those years I was there, we never had problems about this until later when religion and politics suddenly became more tricky. Yeah. So in that sense, you might say Singapore is, you find here, it's more harmonious in that sense. So we are more sensible people, hopefully. Any other question?
Yeah, Brother Piya,
Yeah.
this class of system in India, they are still practicing it, right?
By law, now it's illegal, but
Illegal.
traditions die hard. Yeah? For example, if government today make a law and say no more burning of paper houses and all those things, actually people will still do it. It's not easy. Unless you go to a new society, let's say you go to Australia or somewhere, then you find because the culture is less.
Yeah, right.
Because I was told that some of those high-class Indians who come to Singapore to work, and I was told that they look down on local Indians.
Oh yes, they do.
You know,
Not finished. No, you can just hold on to it because since you're taken, just put it at the same time. It's still not finished. We'll finish when we do the reflection. Yes, it has. Yeah, this is one of those things. I've been hearing stories also. Even families that, say, Indian family, they employ another Indian worker, maid, So this maid like take over the family,
Yeah.
They're telling the people what to do, what not to do. So in the end, they realize that they can never get their own people. It's very troublesome. So this is the old system still, the shadow is still. It takes time to change. Fortunately, among the Chinese, they don't have this kind of problem. Yeah. So this is one of those things, I don't know. You can imagine the problem the Buddha had. We're talking about the Buddha was living at a time when these ideals were very strong. So without the Buddha's teaching, probably things would really be even worse today. Right? So these are things that need to be changed. On the other hand, there are also good things I hear. For example, young students who come to universities here, exchange students, or students who come and continue education here, they give up those old ideas. There's one of them who told me, he said he wants to become a monk. Whenever they say that, I say, okay, tell me your real story. He said his family is forcing him to get married. The typical Brahmin family. So he says that he's just not happy with them. So because of that, he prefers Buddhism. And there are also very wise thinking people, even in India, they do speak up. We don't hear much about them because they are not in the majority. The group is big, but India is a huge population. So, in a sense, the politicians also play up this kind of idea because they get support. So it takes a lot of work, social work, to correct these things. It might take another Gandhi to come up to change this. Yeah. So this is where we are concerned. I think we can, as a community, remind such people when they come here. We don't have this idea here. This is Singapore. It's a free country. We should not have all these outmoded, unnecessary, useless ideas. It's still there, fortunately, but we have to change our attitude and we can correct it by our own influence. Any other question?
Actually, I feel it's a bit of irony. I see that over the internet, of course, I see that many teachers with great insight in India, within India. And these teachers are able to spread their teaching outside India. So good, they have gained followers and so on and so forth. But within the country, they have problems trying to teach their own people.
Yes. the greatest ideas normally come from places that have got the greatest sufferings. For example, we talk about religious freedom, we talk about openness. Generally, surprisingly, you find people in Europe, for example, not in America, by the way, in Europe, they're more tolerant than in Asia, than in Singapore. In Singapore, religious harmony has to be enforced from top down, see? Otherwise, I don't know, there'll be a lot of religious problems. But in Europe, you can talk freely, I mean, everyone works freely, no matter what religion. One of the things people never ask is, what's your religion? They don't bother. If they say, all is welcome, they are welcome. Of course, you might say, yeah, although I'm a Buddhist, I don't mind coming for this gathering. Although I'm a Christian, I don't mind coming for the gathering. So they know each other's religion after a while, but they work together. And to a certain extent in America also, especially in California, West Coast, you find this kind of openness. When I lived there, I had a first-hand knowledge of it. Every year, these people, they get together from different cross-sections of society. They march for the poor. They do all kinds of things, march for the poor, march for peace, and so on. So they get together for this common purpose, and they try to help other people. And for example, my landlady, she's a Zen teacher. So she told me, hey, would you like to come with me? I said, yeah. So we went to this old church, and they had a gong there. They would beat the gong, and then they start a common prayer, and then each religious leader gives his own speech, and all different religions working together for social harmony, for peace. And then I was staying at the Zen center, the Zen seats, raised days. So you have all different religions, from different religions sitting there, and having a religious discussion. It's really amazing. We don't have that naturally here. All those people who come for group photos in the religious group, they all have to stand quite straight, not very relaxed and so on. Like, it must be relaxed and natural. It's really wonderful that can happen. I think it will take some time. It will take another 50 years at least. Because one of the problems is you find the new Christian groups are a little intolerant of others. So that is quite difficult to deal with them sometimes. So in some ways the laws are needed. Whereas in the West, the people themselves can handle it. For example, if someone comes and tries to convert you, say, do you believe in God? They say, why do you care? It just can't be bothered, you won't answer. Here, we will try to respect this guy. Even comes to our house, we still reply. So in the West, they won't tolerate that. In fact, they hardly do that nowadays. So things are changing there, like 50 years ahead. You must remember, in the olden days, there were religious wars. Religion was very powerful. Christianity was very powerful at that time. So there were big wars, and a lot of people died. And then finally they signed a kind of peace. So all in all, people begin to see the pain that religious intolerance can cause. But more importantly, the merchants, the money people, they know. They said this is not good for business. So they decided this sort of thing won't work. So all these ideas started building up, changing. The Westerners became more mature. So we all, because we are Westernized, we are following ideas from the West, so we need about 50 years more to catch up, so to speak, more or less. But I think it will happen, I feel. Even today, you can see not all the fanatical religions are getting what they want, but you can't just do what you want, not anywhere, anyway.
So what's your comment about this? LKY's, he was very concerned about his, of course things will happen, getting old and passing away, and then you say about that he neither believe in God nor he reject God, Mm-hmm. Did you read that article in the paper or something recently?
I saw some of the things, yeah. That approach is called agnostic. Agnostic, yeah. Most politicians, most philosophers would be agnostic. Agnostic means I don't know. It doesn't matter to me anyway.
They purposely do it, talk that way, right?
Yeah, it's a fair thing to say, because even in Buddhism, for example, karma and rebirth. If you ask me to prove, I can only tell you, okay, this is what the Buddha says, right? Other than that, I take it on faith. It is on faith, because I have no other way of proving it except the scripture, right? However, there's one other way. Not very good proof, but definitely helpful as an alternative. So my best argument is, or rather my better argument compared to scripture, I would say, okay, you have two good ideas now, right? One is the God idea. Whatever happens to you, okay, God is in charge. The other is karma, Okay, you look at God idea, you do something bad, there's, oh God, please forgive me, and God forgives you, and then you forget, you continue doing it, and then you come back, ask for confession, back and forth, no change, right? Or worse, you can say, oh, whatever I do is God's will. So you don't take responsibility. That's one idea. The other idea is karma. Karma, there's no one in charge. It's a natural flow of events. If you do something bad, the result will come back to you. So which idea would work better in society, right? So you talk about in terms of working better, I would say definitely, I'm sure you agree with me, karma will work better, right? So in that sense, I would accept karma. In that sense, informed, wise faith, not blind. Blind faith means, since you believe in it, I also believe in it. My father believes in it, my teacher says so, my pastor says so, therefore I believe in it. That's blind faith. So that's the best argument we have. Of course, I can also say, I really don't know. I really don't know. Well, some Buddhist scholars, some famous Buddhists, most famous of them is Stephen Batchelor and his wife Martin Batchelor. They say they don't believe in karma and rebirth, and yet they are well-known Buddhists. They were monks before. If I meet them, I will ask them some very difficult questions. I want to know what is their stand on the Buddha's definition of right view, for example. But very nice to hear from them. So, but anyway, as Buddhists, they are free to say those things. They are good people. Just because they say they don't believe in karma and rebirth doesn't mean they're bad people. Because they talk about meditation and those things. It's just that to them, they can't prove it, you see. So because they can't prove it, so they don't want to make any sure stand and say, oh, this is true. Then they say it's a dogma. So they're very careful people. Of course, like the wife speaking as a politician, so it's very interesting to hear what he says. Oh, by the way, the meditation he was talking about, all those mantra meditation, Maranatha and so on. These are from the Christian meditation, and the Christian meditation are from the Buddhist meditation. Okay, so ultimately it comes back to the same source anyway. A few months ago, one of those Buddhist leaders invited me. He says, this one of the Trinity College, this Christian center, they're holding a course, Christian mindfulness. You're laughing when you hear that, right? So when I saw that word, I gave a very wry smile. I said, oh, okay, good, that's good. Finally, they have to accept it, Because you see, the Catholics accept meditation. They use the word meditation. I have no problem with that. The Protestants, in many parts, even now, they're still against it, but not the Trinity College. Trinity College, they know, they have to deal with it, otherwise they're in trouble. But they still dare not use the word meditation, because a lot of their followers don't like the word. So they use the word mindfulness. So I went for this course, and this professor, he's a Protestant. There's a church in America. And if I take this talk and make you listen, if I don't tell you who's giving the talk, you'll think that it's given by a Buddhist speaker. It's talking about mindfulness. So I told myself, oh, that's good enough for me, sadhu. If you go on talking like this, the future will be good for religious harmony. Because, of course, the main difference is this. He says, all right, we can do a meditation, we can do mindfulness, but we think of God, I said, fine, there was no problem. You can, since it's your religion, you can talk like that. But remember, the roots of the teaching is from the Buddhists. So this is the Buddhist influence on those religions. It shows the effectiveness of meditation. Why would a Christian be attracted to meditation if it does not work? That's why we must find out more about this very important part of Buddhism before other people take it away. This is what the psychologists and psychotherapists are doing. They're using all these Buddhist ideas. In volume 43, the first chapter, I have written a comparative study of one of the schools, only one, the main schools of psychotherapy called CBT, Cognitive Behavior Therapy. One of it is called ACT, 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 Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. They use 99% Buddhist methods. So I use the way they describe their method, and I use Buddhist language. They also use Buddhist teachings, so I put more Buddhist teachings, for 40 pages of it. So you can imagine, they're using Buddhism for psychotherapy also. So in other words, if your children take up psychology one day, and they want to do, when they know Buddhism, you'll be very good psychotherapists. And they'll be the ones who, when they come back to Singapore, they'll be using Buddhism also. So this is what psychotherapy Buddhism has to offer for the future of mental health in Singapore, or the world for the matter. They're using this in America and in Europe also. So for one thing, the Americans are more open, so they've been using this for the third generation. It's called the third wave. Third wave means you put Buddhism in also. And then Europe a bit slightly behind, but also very much. So these are all the wonderful things that Buddhism has concerned. Any other question?
Yeah. This the four woeful state, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hell, animal, beta. What about this asura? How do you classify this asura?
Yes. Okay, in the suttas, the Panchagati Sutta, only 5 realms are mentioned. In the sutta, only 5 realms. The heavens, humans, pretas, animal, hell beings, 5. Then you have the story of the asuras. The story of the asuras is very interesting, because you look at the word sura, where you remember the word sura? Sura Miraya, right?
Asura.
So sura has 2 meanings, Sura can mean hero, brave, from the word you get Surya, the sun. Okay. And then Sura also means strong rain, Sura Miraya. Okay? So the 2 meanings here. So the story goes like this, Sakra, Lord Sakra, he was a young man called Maga, so when he was in his previous life. And he decided that he wants to do good deeds. He's going to spend his life doing good deeds. This is an example of social work, actually. Because his good deeds are smoothing the road, planting trees, digging wells for travelers. And he's going to do that for his whole life, to help people. You imagine those days, the government don't build roads like they do today. And then 30 other young men decided to join him. They're all young people. So they said, wow, this is great, they're joining. And there was this jealous headman. He said, wow, what these young people are trying to do? They're trying to, outdo me or what, So he said, hey, you're young people, you should not be doing this, you should be enjoying life, But his 33 big friends and Sakra and Maga says, no, we like this one. So he got into trouble, all these false accusations, so the king went to punish them. But somehow the truth came out, so the king freed them and punished the other men instead. So this Maga and the 33 friends, all their life did good works, and then he died. They all died in the end, and they were reborn as the Tawatingsa Devas. This is the story is found in the Dhammapada commentary. So when Sakra was born there, and Sakra being a very, the Buddhist idea of Sakra or Indra, it's a very moralistic, very good God. He's very precept conscious. Alright? Not like the Brahmanical Indra. Brahmanical Indra is a very playful, like Apollo, He likes to disturb girls and so on. This is the other, the Brahmanical story, like the Greek concept. So the Buddhist version is very precept conscious. And then so he goes into this new heaven. There were the old gods there. Alright? So, and these gods were enjoying yourself, enjoying your good karma heaven life, and drinking, taking drinks, getting drunk. You've got nothing to do there anyway, so bored, So Sakra said, oh dear, this is unbecoming of gods, They just, they should not be doing this, So while they were drunk, this Sakra and the 33 pushed them all out of heaven. This is a story of it, okay, this is a story. So they fell from the heavens, and of course very high up, and halfway, because the distance is so great, I suppose. And so they became sober halfway. They became sober halfway. They said, what's happening here? Oh, these young gods have toppled us. And then they said, this is bad. No more surah from now on. Surah. No more surah. I said, no more drinks, okay. That's one meaning. The other meaning is they were previously gods, surah, but now they're fallen gods. Now there's a parallel here with the Greek mythology. In Greek mythology also you have the old gods toppling, being toppled by the new gods. The new gods are Zeus, Apollo, and so on. The old gods were Saturn, Uranus, so that they were fierce, cannibalistic gods. So they were thrown out by the new gods. So you see this very close parallel between Greek mythology and Indian mythology. So these new gods, the fallen gods, they were called Titans in the Greek mythology. And they're called Asuras in the Buddhist mythology. So they didn't form a class of themselves. So in a sense, they're still part of the heaven. So they're fallen from the heavens. Only later on, I think the Tibetan mythology especially, we have the 6 realms. Because we do not know when the 6 realms started, probably in India before Buddhism in Tibet. The 6 realms fit very nicely because you just draw 3 lines and you get 6 sectors, right? And then you have the heaven at the top, V-shaped heaven, and then below is hell, and then you have the asuras on the right, and then the humans on the left, and then all the 6 realms are there. So of course today we like to talk of 6 realms, and we talk of the 4 subhuman realms, or in the suttas 3 only, right? Sutta, if you exclude the asura, it's only 3, but we often speak of 4 nowadays. Psychologically, the lower realms are very meaningful because, for example, someone is addictive, it's like a preta, right? If he can't get satisfaction from something, and you see this real behavior. So this is where you can use the language of this kind of being to describe the addict and to help him out from that state. So now it's a mental state. So it can be corrected if it's a mental state. And then the asuras are exploitative people who like to take advantage of others. They only see you for what good you can give them, nothing else, right? Those very money-minded boss, for example. Animals are when we live by fear. We don't like learning. You tell me, learn sutta. I say, oh, sutta very hard. I don't want. They're not interested in learning. So they're easily manipulated. I have people telling me stories, that they are intelligent young people. They tell their parents still superstitious. They say, oh, he says your dead father has been talking to me. He wants a big house now. Otherwise, he will get me into trouble. So what is kind of superstitious idea? So this is animal realm. Okay, superstition, fear. And then hell beings, violence, killing people, mass killing. You see these common things in the world. So the realms are there, right? There, around in the world. So we will be careful not to fall into those realms. That's what the precepts are about. If you look at the precepts, the 5 precepts keep us human. Remember that. The 5 precepts keep us human. If you break all the precepts, you fall below the human state, and we don't want that. Right? So if you keep the 5 precepts, next time also you'll be reborn human state. Then you have a good chance to improve yourself. You keep the 5 precepts, you reflect impermanence, this life you also contain streamline. Okay? Alright, one last question. Yes, next, yeah.
Relation to this.
Okay.
So not just mental state, physically, so to speak, there are actual ranks such
Okay, here again,
existence.
Here again, like I said, I can say Sutta says so, but we have no documented proof. Right? Of course, there are people who say, oh, I died, I came back, I saw hell. Different religion have different stories. But then you must remember, these people, they already have those ideas in their heads. So you have those ideas in your head, if you imagine a bit more, you can see those things. And now psychology is beginning to explain why and how we experience these things. For example, some scientists, they found that they use a low current and they stimulate the temple. It's very interesting, the area is called temples on this side. So they sense, they wear a kind of helmet, and then they turn on this current, right current, and go zap through this part, right across the brain. And those people who believe in God, they start crying and say, oh, they feel that they're the presence of God. If you believe in Buddha, bro, you probably feel you're in the presence of the Buddha or the saints. So the question that they ask is all this religious feeling already hardwired inside our brain? Human brain. So these are very interesting. So that's why we have to be careful, So I ask myself, if all these scientists today, they explore our brain and start proving all these religious feelings are false, what happened to Buddhism? The traditional Buddhism will fall apart. All those Buddhism that believe in spirits and magic, right? Paper houses, they will fall apart. Because educated people will not follow the kind of religion. But the kind of Buddhism we follow, early Buddhism, when you talk about meditation, you talk about precepts, still be intact. In fact, it become more meaningful after that. You see my point here? So it doesn't matter what the psychologists discover. So if you study the Buddha's teaching will actually be supported by those modern researchers. That's why I tell people, even those who want to study Abhidhamma, we got so many states of the mind and so on. I say, what if one day the scientists manage to measure thought moments, and they tell you actually it's not 17 thought moments, maybe it is more than that, 23 or whatever, maybe less. Then where's our stand? We have to revise. We have to revise our numbers also. But we have no problem. We can say the Buddha didn't say this. All these numbers were the ideas of later Buddhists after the Buddha. So it's okay. We can revise, no problem. But we will never revise the sutta. So far, nobody has successfully disproved the sutta saying, okay, there's only 9 causes of good conduct, not 10, or only 3 noble truths, only 7 eightfold paths. No one has succeeded in doing that. Because those teachings are very clear, very direct. That's why early Buddhism is the safest path. Other Buddhism, they start adding in extra things of their own times, and those things can be disproven. So we have to be prepared, in other words, so that we don't have to have too much fighting to do, basically. That we can, Buddhism must be versatile, in other words.
That's one.
Sure.
Is Abhidhamma part of the teaching of the Buddha?
Well, Abhidhamma was not in the early suttas. But in the early suttas, you only mention Dhamma Vinaya, only 2 things, Dhamma Vinaya. So the Buddha will always say, in this Dhamma Vinaya. And when you say Abhidhamma, it means in connection with the Dhamma. Is that word? Small a. In fact, when you find the word Abhidhamma, you also find another term, not so common, Abhivinaya. Okay? That means in connection with the Dhamma, in connection with the Vinaya. Okay? So in other words, in the Buddhist time, they do not have Abhidhamma as the 3rd Pitaka. The idea of the 3 Pitakas only came after the Buddha passed away. I mean, it is understandable. In the Buddha's time, imagine the Buddha just got enlightened, there's no teaching. And then slowly the teaching grew. As every day, as the days grow, as the Buddha gave more and more teachings, then the teachings were memorized by the monks and so on, and the lay people. And then by the time Buddha died, 45 years, yes, we have a lot of teachings. But none of this is Abhidhamma, because there were stories later told after the Buddha passed away. Because the Abhidhamma people, they are the Buddhist philosophers, if you like, the scholastics. They wanted to put together very systematically, almost like in a scientific way. Everything must be exact. For example, the 6 senses, right? The Buddha says that what you see is based on the eye, what you hear based on the ear. All the 5 physical senses, they have a basis, location. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. But mind, whatever we experience to the mind, where is it located? The Buddha didn't mention. So the Abhidhamma, they tried to make it systematic. So they said it must be located somewhere. So they decided to follow the popular idea, it's located in the heart. So they added in that. So this is not found in the sutta. So we cannot say the Buddha said that the mind is located in the heart. We cannot say that. We can only say in the Abhidhamma it said so. It's a later teaching. But it's just theoretical, you see. If I say the mind is located in the heart or in the brain, but now the scientists say it's in the brain. So you have these 2 different systems. Who's right? they're already beginning to challenge this Abhidhamma stand. So if they manage to prove us wrong, then we have to revise. But in this case, I don't think they can, because what the Buddha actually said from the sutta, the mind is not located anywhere. Not located. Because the mind is non-locational. The mind can actually extend. Like you do loving kindness, your mind grows the whole universe.
Yeah, that's interesting. Recently, I came across a YouTube article. This scientist said the mind actually is extension out, you know?
Yeah.
It is something common out in space.
This is a new group of
Ah.
scientists now. There's one book, what's the title? Irreducible Mind. This is one book I've been trying to get, I couldn't get it. There's no PDF. If there's a PDF, this is something worth reading. If you can get this book. Irreducible, it means cannot be reduced. It's written by a group of people, a group of scientists. They reject the materialist view that the mind is located in the brain. This is the popular idea nowadays, generally, that the brain is the basis of consciousness. Of Buddhism, we don't accept that. And these are the new scientists. Of course, it's very difficult to prove this. So they belong to the group called the parapsychologists, because they're also interested in other things which cannot be easily measured, like trances, mediums, ghosts, even. So they're becoming more confident. This is a good sign, because they're opening up a new area of study now. Because 100 years ago, people would say they're cranks. But now they are studying it very carefully. Like, for example, this Ian Stevenson, he did researches on rebirth, West Virginia University, but he has already passed away. So now this is a new generation. These people who wrote this book, Irreducible Mind. So this one book, if you can have a chance to read, be good. Okay? Anything else? Okay, just thanks, huh? Yeah. Today we have studied the Esukari Sutta, where the Buddha teaches us that goodness is a matter of our actions. Doesn't matter where we are born, how we are born, what status or no status in society. It is our action that defines us. That means everyone has a chance to be good, to walk the path, to attain awakening. And this is the message we must remind others too, that everyone has a chance to be good. We don't even have to be religious. Reflecting in this way is good karma. By the power of this good karma, may our minds be at peace, may our meditations bring quick focus. May in this life itself we attain spiritual liberation and this stream living. In this moment of peace, let us send out our loving kindness to everyone here, to all those people who work for this place, to all the devas and beings in this area, that they may protect us, protect this place. And also to all our loved ones, may they be well, may they be happy. And even to those who are distant and inimical to us, that the Dharma may touch them, they may grow in the Dharma happily and wisely. May all beings be well and happy.
Sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.